Hey, welcome back to the Ping Pong Flix show. My name is Chris Wong. This is episode 442 of the Ping Pong Flix show. I see a lot of comments where people actually do like this format. Maybe there are one or a few people who don't like it, but for the most part, it seems like you like this format. And I kind of like it too. More because I don't think you want to see my face that big on your computer, TV screen, your phone, whatever. You probably rather see the content I'm looking at, and that's why I'm here to give you that. So let's start off with some DC film updates. The biggest one today, probably got a lot of headlines and a lot of people spinning, was that The Hollywood Reporter by Tatiana Siegel reported that Joker sequel in the works as Todd Phillips eyes more DC origin movies. An exclusive? What is this? What? The director is likely to reteam with star Joaquin Phoenix on a follow-up to the $1 billion grossing R-rated hit, sources say. Now, I'm just going to go very brief on this, and I'll tell you why, because I'll tell you why. So it says here in this article that, Phillips had a meeting. He had rights to at least one other DC story, and they want to do more DC origin stories. He also, because it crossed the $1 billion mark, there's a sequel on the way. Phillips is going to in talks to reprise as director, and so on and so forth. Joaquin Phoenix, and I'm like thinking, wow, that's a crazy thing, because Joaquin Phoenix usually never comes back for another sequel, or doing a sequel to a movie, and the story must be good. Something must be really brewing there, and they really, because naturally, yeah, okay, a movie makes $1 billion, a studio would want to make a sequel. It's just something studios do. I mean, we want to capitalize on that. Why not? Why not keep going, right? But for the most part, it just has to work, especially for a person, a man, a method actor like Joaquin Phoenix. And for the most part, history has shown he doesn't really do that. But it's okay. I mean, that if that's going to happen, I'm all up for it as well. But something happened today that kind of just shoved this away. Deadline put out an article. Don't dress for Joker sequel yet. Insiders say Todd Phillips never pitched origin film series on other DC characters. This one I'm going to read to you. The Joker sequel news that hit a trade today is great clickbait, but multiple inside sources that while a sequel to the $1 billion grossing film is an obvious likely eventuality that makes all the financial sense in the world, at this point there are no deals for a sequel, nor even any negotiations with director Todd Phillips or his co-writer Scott Silver to craft one. Those sources add that the linchpin of today's TRHR story, that a week after Joker's opening, Phillips met with Warner Brothers film chief Toby Emmerich to pitch a portfolio of DC character origin stories, is as flat false as earlier stories that Martin Scorsese contemplated directing the first Joker. Scorsese was originally going to be a producer, but dropped out because of his crowded schedule. Multiple sources said no such October 7th meeting between Phillips and Emmerich occurred, and that Phillips doesn't want to follow Joker by overseeing other DC character films. What he has talked about in interviews is that when Joker was in its inception, there were discussions of a DC Black initiative. He instead focused on Joker. That was a long time ago. Phillips has a track record of being selective. After The Hangover breaking records for R-rated films, he did not seek to turn his company into a comedy factory. No one is saying a Joker sequel won't happen someday, but multiple sources said nothing has happened yet, and that Phillips and co-star Scott Silver have made no real moves to draft the further dark rise of Joaquin Phoenix's Arthur Fleck character, or even to make a deal to do that. So that article kind of killed the Hollywood Reporter article, which is interesting because the top trades, usually you would think, I mean, Deadline is one of the top trades, but also the Hollywood Reporter. It's not like it's killing, we got this covered or something, right? It's That it's a Hollywood Reporter. So usually it's Variety, the Hollywood Reporter, and Deadline. So it's interesting that this came out. And when you go back to the Hollywood Reporter, it doesn't really does say like there's no real announcement of anything. It's almost like interpreting something that may happen just for the fact alone that it's $1 billion movie. Anybody could have guessed that $1 billion movie could possibly want the studio to want a sequel, but talks I guess have not been done, but this is Hollywood. Secret stuff happen all the time and not everyone is in the know. But just to let you know, you're seeing the headlines for both these articles. You can pretty much say that Warner Brothers has not actually officially said anything about a Joker sequel just yet. So we'll see. Have to wait and see for Joker lovers out there. I am sorry. I think I really think if they got something to work, if Joaquin Phoenix has said, "I love that story," he'd probably come back and do it again. He even said that it has to work. The story has to work, and they could make it work. They really could. In the meantime, if Todd Phillips he wants to make another origin story like I don't know, like Lex Luthor or something. Even the Hollywood Reporter suggested a villain story, Darkseid. That's pretty crazy. That's pretty. That's kind of cool too. I didn't think he would go off into larger budgeted movies, but if he's gonna do that, and cool. But I'm interpreting that is gonna be still a small scale type of film. Then it would be better to do like a Lex Luthor. Does Joker need a sequel? I don't think so. I mean, the Joker sequel would essentially be Batman. So, I mean, that's how I see it anyway, and I don't think it's necessary to keep moving forward with that character because we already see where he came from and what he was going to be. Unless it's a different take altogether, and it's another take of how maybe he's not the Joker or something. I don't know. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Hollywood is strange indeed, and never say never to anything. So the next thing I want to talk about is actually. Let me do this first. You may notice this picture right here, and I just want to show you that right now. This picture was made by merakigrafx and this is the Twitter handle, Tetral. I guess. Hashtag release Snyder Cut. I just wanted to show you this because this is such an awesome piece of art. I mean, it really looks like a poster that you'd see. Kind of has that Zack Snyder-ish to it, that dark element to it. And you may even notice that there's a Green Lantern like just rising above the ground here. And you see Superman, of course, Darkseid, Steppenwolf. So I thought that was kind of cool. So that this would be my choice picture for today's show. So cool picture by merakigrafx. Go ahead and follow this person. He has a lot of cool stuff on this Twitter handle. But anyway, since we're talking about the Snyder Cut, there's this one person who is had hashtag today. Person's name is Sam Benjamin. Okay, Sam Benjamin. Now he said, "I worked with Zack Snyder on this movie for a moment, but it was one of the most exciting moments of my career. Even if this wasn't the case, as a fan, I still want to see it." Hashtag release Snyder Cut. Hashtag Moon, and he has a picture of Zack Snyder working here on the set of Justice League, and you're like, okay, who is Sam Benjamin? Well, he is an actor. Currently for the War of the Worlds, BBC One, Peaky Blinders, Doctor Who. I don't know him too much. Oh, this is Batman 89. Interesting. But I'm sure that a lot of people who watch those series and such will know who he is. Look at his picture. That's interesting. Now, the picture here, a lot of people I remember this guy specifically because he says he plays a military officer on Justice League, which is true. I mean, there's a lot of people playing different roles. Our own, Gavin Downs had a character in the Suicide Squad, and I think he was like I I want to say he was a guard or an officer or military, but he was in the Suicide Squad. So there's a lot of active people around that just do these little roles and such, and one of them, I guess Sam Benjamin is that role. But there were a lot of like theories at one time that, hey, this guy maybe, and I can't remember now, but I think there was like a theory that he was like Hal Jordan, a Green Lantern, Kyle Rayner, something Green Lantern-ish, right? And it might not be true. So if you put your tinfoil hat on, if you will, but some fans have asked him about if he is, if he was, Green Lantern, and for Jumbo Jungle Beats, he tweeted out in response, Green Lantern, and he did like it, so that's kind of cool. I even tweeted out, question, did you have to wear a certain green ring? Sam also liked it as well, so you may be thinking, hey, I wonder what's going on here. Was he going to be Green Lantern? Now, there was rumors and stuff that Mark Wahlberg could have been Green Lantern. Charles Roven apparently really liked him for Green Lanterns, but this is a Zack Snyder film. I really think we've only seen the tip of the iceberg with the Snyder Cut, so it could be anything. I don't know what eventually he would end up being, if at all. Or is he just liking stuff because he likes the idea of people thinking that he may be something else? Because as you see here, he even liked this. I always knew you were Batman in that movie, and he seemed to like that as well. So it may not matter at all. But the biggest thing is that another crew member or cast member from Justice League Snyder Cut has come out and said in support of hashtag release the Snyder Cut, not afraid to, and I think a lot more will start coming out slowly but surely as time goes on, as this Snyder Cut movement and the Snyder Cut release the Snyder Cut hashtag is growing in ginormous proportions. I mean, it is just trending. I think possibly someone said today that it kind of has like about 30,000 tweets a day at this point. It's just consistently every day. I don't know how true that is. I'm not I don't look into the analytics, but you do see it a lot about it, and it helps that articles and news articles do entirely talk about it. And one of them is the Fandom Files. The Fandom Files had contacted me again. I remember doing a slight podcast, I want to say like almost 2 years ago, where they invited me on their podcast to talk about the Snyder Cut. And at that time, we were at our infancy on what we knew and how much we knew and what was being supported. But we're so far past that now, that with the development that we've had now and what has happened on Sunday, they reached out again and wanted to hear my comments about the Snyder Cut once again. So if you get a chance, check this out. I'll put this link in the description below. Go check it out on Apple Podcasts, and you can go ahead and listen to my non-stop just talk about the Snyder Cut, and to their bewilderment, I believe, the host Jordan Emily, I believe, they seem very bewildered and surprised by the amount that we've learned about the Snyder Cut. They didn't know it was 3.5 hours. They didn't know that a lot of stuff that Joss Whedon shot were actual reshoots. They didn't know that about all the God shirts. They didn't know about a lot of things. They didn't know there was like Dark Side and stuff like that. I think at least they appeared they sounded like they didn't know, and they sounded really truly surprised and bewildered and possibly even interested, very interested as well. So I think that's a great thing that more people catch on to the potential of the Snyder Cut, and we'll get into that. But as you can see, it really did have a lot of followings today. I just tracked down a lot of these verified tweets from people. and celebrities and news articles like Vox. Where else is there? This one is from Rotten Tomatoes. They did a video about the Snyder Cut as well, which is cool. Tone Star Studio, which is actually a Yahoo website, and RT Snyder Cut, share the Nerdist video as well on that. Let's see, there's quite a bit, and that's great. I think every day more people are picking up on it as well. Total Film picked up on it as well. We get Fandom Files. I already showed you that one, and some other verifieds as well, also coming out in support of the Snyder Cut. Screen Rant, of course, it always comes up all the time. They're a huge proponent of the Snyder Cut. They write articles for the Snyder Cut all the time. All the different people who write for them, either Stephen Colbert, and this particular one is actually from Shiraz Ferrucci from Comic Book Debate, and we also get our own Brad Coran, who also does write for them as well. So it's not just one person who writes for Screen Rant. There's like multiple writers on there, and it's great to see all those multiple writers talk about the Justice League and hashtagging the release of Snyder Cut to add to the analytics as well, especially like this 102.9 whatever, and I think this is some Spanish website. I've been just retweeting all of them because it's exciting to see a lot more people outside of Realm actually talking about it, right? And that's cool. And I want to just talk about it. I want to end this video just talking a little bit about what we should expect, right? What should we expect? Now, I know you guys were telling me to check out John Campia's video, and I have. I've heard him the first time. Look, a lot of people may know things and a lot of people may not. It doesn't mean that they know everything. Sometimes people's sources are different from others. Sometimes those sources don't know everything, right? And it's just same as the Hollywood Reporter, Variety. Everybody's got their sources and stuff. But be optimistic about it, because there may be some truth to certain things and things that happen and stuff like that. But just be optimistic and positive. Right now, what we're doing with Release the Snyder Cut is just being positive, showing, kind of educating the public, educating the mainstream, telling them what happened, and for interested parties, when they're wondering, well, what's the Snyder Cut, we can kind of sell them that this is a totally different movie. And we don't really have to sell them, because it totally is. It's a different movie. It's a longer movie. It's a vision that should have been shown the first time, and the potential of it after it's being shown, right? And I think that matters the most, and more than trying to correct these people who don't know any better, trying to correct them, because they're set in their ways. They've got their own sources, and let them listen to their own sources. As you can see, not everybody has that same source. Everybody has deeper sources as well. Maybe people closer to the Zach party, and maybe Grace Randolph. I know we've talked about Grace Randolph, how she's stuff, but she also says, and I don't know if believe her or not, but just showing you the difference between the John Campion and the Grace Randolph. John Campion says didn't hear anything. Grace Randolph says it's coming. Matt Jarble, I don't know what he's heard, but I've seen his video. I haven't looked at it yet. That it looks like the Snyder Cut is coming, and about that. That Hollywood line where Warner Bros. Says there is no imminent release. Of course, there's no imminent. Maybe the imminent meaning like now. They've set a date. They're ready to go. But what if they haven't set a date yet? They just are planning it or negotiating. You got to really be optimistic and open minded about the whole situation. But in order to kind of just get you away from the fact that, and I do believe the Snyder Cut is coming 100%, it's coming. It's just a matter of when. But think about what would happen when that happens, right? The Snyder Cut comes out, whether it's HBO Max, the theaters, I have no idea. Whenever it comes out and people get to see it, and it does well, we're all watching it. Either if it comes out in theaters, I hope you guys are going every single day, because I am. I'm going to be buying a ticket. I'm going to be spending a fortune on this thing because I want to go watch it every day. I want to support it, especially, and I'm sure I'm going to love it. HBO Max, if it's on HBO Max, keep clicking on it, watch it over and over, and show that, show Warner Brothers, hey, we love Zach's vision here. We want to see what's next, because only then I think we can actually, guys, get like Justice League 2 and 3, right? I mean, it just makes business sense to me anyway. If an audience loves and wants, and they see the click, they see the money of certain things, like just like the Joker, $1 billion Joker, what was the first thing they thought of? Oh, sequel, right? And it didn't even take it doesn't take a scientist to know that when a film does $1 billion, automatically the studio is going to say, hey, sequel. And it doesn't even have to be $1 billion. It's going to be 800 million. They're like, sequel. Money talks. And once money talks, or the potential of money talks, I hope the studios, if I'm thinking the business sense that I think they are, and hopefully they are, is that money talks, and money is what we want. That's why I really believe 100% Snyder Cut coming out. With what happened on Sunday, with the outpour of support, with how much we're trended, the most talked about, like New York Times says, we're the most talked about DC film. They're right. They are. Do you see them talking a lot about Wonder Woman 1984? Do you see a lot of news about Birds of Prey? Do you see a lot of news about the Suicide Squad? No. Do you see a lot of news about Batman? Even when the Batman came out, all this other news about Riddler and stuff like that, it popped up for a bit and then it just died. It just died. The Snyder Cut has been going on for 2 years. A studio that does not want to capitalize it is really leaving money on the table, and I really truly believe they're not that type of company. I think they're greedy corporate people that want to see money, and when they saw that trending, I believe they looked at those analytics and says, how do we capitalize on that? And I believe that's exactly what they're going to do, right? We may not hear it early talks, if there are negotiations going on, it's going to take a while. They have little legal things to do. It's like when you go and sign up for a passport, for instance. It's going to take weeks to actually get the passport, so it has that sense to it. It's nothing like that. And who knows? Maybe, it's been going on for a while now, and that's why we got up to a certain point, but that's in the back of the house, right? For us, what we did, I think we did our job, and we're continuing to do it by being supportive of the Snyder Cut, showing that we want the Snyder Cut, educating others what the Snyder Cut is, and growing our following. Look at RT Snyder Cut. They're probably almost to like 17,000 followers. Always started from like a few hundred. It just shows the amount of people that really are interested in this. And just keep your eye on the target. Keep your eye on the possibility. When the Snyder Cut comes out, what if, man? What if it does good? We have the potential to go forward and see more. We can see Justice League 2. We can see Justice League 3. And you're like, are they really going to do that? Hey, the money's there. Show me the money. And if Zach can show them the money, they're going to show us the Snyderverse. And that is incredible. And that is crazy, right? I mean, I know that's like tinfoily area possibly for you, or like no way in hell. But hey, I never thought Ben Affleck would say hashtag release Snyder Cut. I never thought Gal Gadot would put hashtag release the Snyder Cut. And to a lot of the point right now, a lot of people are coming on board to release the Snyder Cut. Maybe that tinfoil, maybe we don't need it anymore. Maybe it's actually coming true. I don't know. That may be just me being optimistic. But like I said, keep your eye on that target. Keep supporting it. Keep hashtagging if you want to. There's something brewing in the background, I believe, and with all these people talking about it's possibly coming. Is this positive marketing? What's going on? Why is the Snyder Cut trending? Hey, this is the pressure that Zack Snyder needed to get Warner Brothers to start doing something. And we may not be seeing what they're doing, but it doesn't mean they're not doing anything about it right now. So hopefully we'll hear about an announcement pretty soon. Once the announcement comes, we know there's a potential that the Snyderverse could continue. All right, guys. Well, that is it for tonight. Thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time.